All right, guys, I'm gonna start on this. I've already done the refinish on the blade on this. This is a ZT in-house custom, but what we're gonna talk about is, let's see if I can get it. Look at that. That is pretty much a chisel ground tip. It's bad, and it has nothing to do with anything I did. We will talk about this. I have to sharpen it first. Basically, Philip told me when he sent this that this knife went to ZT to have that issue rectified, and they sent it back to him, and it was exactly the same. The only spot that it looks like they did anything to was back here somewhere, and it now has a recurve. So they didn't do anything. He says that it kind of had a recurve to begin with. I don't know. It looks like maybe it had some after grinding done to it. I don't know, but I got to sharpen this. But I did refinish the blade. I stonewashed it because he no longer wanted the ZT markings on it. It was black and satin. But we're going to look at this after I sharpen it. We're going to talk about a couple of other things. We're going to look at that. But this is M390. This is not going to be fun or easy. Philip already knows. I don't know, guys. I don't know. ZT. It's rare to see one that misground. Their in-house customs are done a little bit different. But as you can see, I haven't put the tripod back up yet after I refinish the table. But we're going to do a video because we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about a few other things. Actually, I think it's going to be 2 videos today because I've got time. And my friend Pip Corona, we've talked about Pip in the past. You guys have seen Pip comment on things. Pip is coming today. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is this knife and maybe some other things in a separate video. Well, guys, like I said, I have finished sharpening that ZT. I think I'm done for today. It's been a busy day. I sharpened 6 knives today, and I have a bunch of other stuff that I'm working on doing. And not gonna lie, this ZT was difficult. The entire knife was misground from tip to heel. No, I don't want this to seem as though this is a rant and that I'm throwing a fit and saying that, because ZTs are incredibly well-built knives. They really are. And so Philip sent me this knife, and he said that it was misground, and as you can see, I have rectified the situation. I got it as good as it's gonna get, and it had a pretty bad misgrind, almost recurved in the middle. But the upsetting thing is when you send things off, and it's not my knife, and so it gets sent to me, and I kind of wish, knowing how a lot of times warranties work with CT, Benchmade, things like that, I know how it's going to happen. I almost wish people would send them to me first, because a lot of times they wind up coming to me. And this isn't a plug saying, oh, send them to me, I can do a better job. I just kind of know how it's going to work out. And we saw it with the video that I did with Nico's stuff that came back from the Life Sharp from Benchmade. A lot of times stuff goes and it comes back, and they really haven't done anything. So I talked to Philip and about this. This went out and came back, and they didn't do anything to it. So I get it, you know, they're busy and things like that, and things are different with, you know, at big businesses, and they get things and they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this knife. They just glance at it. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong. They send it out. But as the consumer, when you're spending, let's say, I don't know how much these Blue Bellies cost, these in-house customs, but let's say you spent $500. For the company, their time is valuable. I get it. I really do. I get it. But the fact is, if you spent $500 on an item and it's not right, you want the company to rectify it. And for them to just give it a cursory glance, say, I don't see anything wrong with it, put it back in the box, send it back. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal on paper, right? Now, I want you to think about this, though. I've sent things to ZT. I had a customer's knife that I broke. I put a replacement blade in it. I did that. It was a ZT 0300, the old big, bulky, it was a Strider design. I paid shipping to them, and I think I paid $30 for shipping, return shipping. I think that's what it wound up being. I think it was either $20 or $30 return shipping. So now you've paid like $7 or $8 to get it there. You paid like $20 to get it back, and then they haven't done anything. Well, you know, that's irritating on a $500 item. I don't know how much it's, I'm just giving you an example. That can be irritating. So you figure you spent the initial cost, and then you get it back and they haven't done anything, and then you send it to me, and then you're gonna have to pay shipping round trip to me, and then pay me to do the sharpening and actually fix, and we'll get a shot of it. I did fix it. It's straight. It's asymmetrical. It's not asymmetrical. It's a symmetrical grind now. It is good and it is sharp. But it's just, I see this and people are like, oh, what are you whining about? Just send it back. When you guys watch these videos, just remember, these aren't my knives. I am voicing things that I see in customers' knives that irritate me, that I'm voicing for you guys. I don't see why customers should have to burden this. You know, ZT makes really good knives. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very nice knife. It's got a weird blade shape, in my opinion. It's not something that well, the more I look at it, the more, and now that it was a black DLC with a satin. The more I look at it, now that it's been stonewashed, the more I like it. But, you know, before, I'm like, it's got some funkiness to the blade shape. And it had a lot of sharp spots, but, you know, the stonewash knocked a lot of that sharpness off. So, you know, sometimes it can get irritating that you guys have spent money on an item and then it comes and it's wrong. And I've had it happen. And don't get me wrong, I get stuff that I buy, but, you know, I find it funny that people will balk at the fact that I voice this for people. You know, I voice my displeasure with these things about these items, but yet these would be the same people like, oh, what are you complaining about, this and that. These would be the same people that would throw a fit if their $5 hamburger at a fast food joint was screwed up. I'd be much less inclined, you know, well, that's not true. I'll tell you a story when we get done with this. But, you know, those little things like that, I'd be much less inclined to lose my mind over than a big ticket item, you know. I mean, you buy a $500 video game system and it doesn't, you know, the controller, one of the buttons doesn't work. Are you going to just be like, what are you whining about? Most of it works. Most of it's correct. No, you're not going to be like that. But in the knife community, it just seems like people are like, what do you want? It's a knife. And I get how it happens too. The flip side of that is I understand it. And because I've made a knife or two, and I am so careful with how I grind a knife. And I've gotten pretty good at it. You can ask people that have seen me do it. I can hand grind the edge on a belt. It happens. I get it. You go one way and it's really easy to do, and then you're coming back, and the way it was done, I can see, I knew exactly what had happened. You one way it's really easy, but coming back the other way where you're one hand, the dumb hand is in charge one direction, the other hand it's just holding stuff in place, like tying your shoe. It's just holding the loop. And yeah, it's easy this way to keep it, but when you're doing it this way, it's easy to let that dumb hand do something stupid. So I get how it can happen. It happens, but, you know, if somebody sends something back and complains, they should be looking at it a little harder. And I would challenge these companies to just step up their quality control game a little bit, and maybe their customer service, you know, if you're sending their warranty, or I should say. But yeah, this did come out with a gorgeous polished edge on this. And I think it looks so much better stonewashed than it did with that gaudy satin and black. But let's take the camera around. We'll look at the edge now that's been rectified. I'm gonna drink some wine here. Hang on. So, all right, hang on just a second, guys. So if you guys remember from the previous video, let's see if we can get it focused, it was extremely off center. And so now I think we've gotten it about as corrected as you're going to be able to get it. And it came out really good. It was very deeply ground on this side. This is the side, that's fingerprint. Right in here, it was really deeply ground in comparison to some of the other areas of the blade. So I did a good bit of reprofiling on this, and it's M390. So M390 is not easy to work with, but it's still a little sharp here, but it was really sharp on these edges right here. And so that stone wash that I did on it took a lot of that off, and this is going to hold up. Satin shows scratches so badly. Just in comparison, this knife I've had this knife for a couple years now, and you can see that the wear and tear that the blade gets, especially here, you can see I cut something abrasive. It doesn't show wear. You can see where this area that nothing cuts is so much less polished. This finish is going to last and not show scratches near as bad as a satin would. So, yeah, M390 gets a very good polish and finish on it. You can still see the oil. The bearings on this are huge, so when I oiled it, the oil just kind of seeped out of it. These are very smooth knives. This is a very smooth knife. It pops open with authority. Nice detent on it. Let's watch that again. Watch my hand. It actually pops open hard enough that it's almost like it has recoil. It just shakes my hand. And the blade, I do like that. I do like that. And it has, I kind of wish that sharpening notch was a little bit more generous. It could have been a little bit more generous, but that's something we're going to talk about in the next video today, is sharpening notches, sharpening choils and finger choils. Huge big bearings on this though. The bearings, you can see them. Look how big those bearings are in there. Big bearings. So this thing, you don't even have to clean it. And another thing I did, if you guys look, I hit that a little there was some lock stick issues on this, and I hit that on a very ever so lightly on Scotch-Brite, and now there is absolutely no lock stick, no lock rock, no blade play. All right, guys, let me turn this back around and we'll talk. So lock stick is another issue that I found a couple ways to rectify. I wouldn't, if there's any starting indications of lock rock, I would not even think about doing what I did. I hit both his knife and my knife, one of my knives, on Scotch-Brite, just ever so lightly. Just gave it a passing brush on a Scotch-Brite just to touch that lock interface, because even though he had it in, it was still having some lock stick where it just would tick, tick, tick. No issues with that now. Nice and smooth. No blade play. If there's any indication of a start to lock rock, wouldn't even think about doing that on a knife. No centering issues on this at all. This is a well put together knife. Cannot complain. I do have to say it's a pain to disassemble a little bit. I actually had to make a spanner for that side. I made a titanium spanner. I just basically cut the center area out of a garbage spring clip that was laying around at the shop. Just cleaned out that area. I just cut an area out of it so that I can make a spanner, and then used it to loosen the pivot on it. So, you know, there's always a way to overcome most things. So, but yeah, it's just sometimes those warranty things that I see where people send stuff off and then it comes back and they're like, look, I sent this out for warranty and it came back exactly the same. Can you fix it? And I'm like, you know, yeah, I can fix it. I just kind of almost wish I worked in a warranty department at some of these places, you know, just to look at some of this stuff, be like, hey, before it goes out, just quickly, like, hey, did you guys even do anything? Look, the note that's in it said that this thing was off. You know, the edge grind was off. It's, you know, did you even look at it? Because it's still off. Did we do anything about it? Send it back to the floor. Send it back to the floor. It would be nice. I wish I could do that for people. But I don't work at one of those places. I wouldn't want to. I love working for myself. I sat down at lunch and I had 3 pieces of cold fried chicken and I played a video game for 30 minutes. I couldn't do that if I worked at a shop somewhere. I'd be like, what are you doing? I'm playing a video game? Get the fuck up and go back to work. That's what I would get. Drinking wine at work. So, all right, guys. That's the end of this one. I am going to shoot another video. Hopefully they go up today. I haven't been great about getting videos up lately because I've been busy. Yesterday I did a live feed. I refinished the entire table. Once again, guys, if you like the videos, please hit the like button. If you don't like the video, hit the thumbs down button. I gotta know if you guys don't like the content. I really have to. If you really like the videos, Patreon. The Patreon link is always down there. I really appreciate it when you guys do the Patreons. I did shoot a Patreon shout-out video. I'm just not real happy with it, so I've got to do some editing to that. I've been playing around with it. I don't like the way I did it, so I may just reshoot it. So I've got like 20 or 30 Patreons, I think, so I want it to be good. I want it to be for those guys that's good. I have not put up any content specifically for those guys lately either. So, all right, guys, that's the end of this one. You guys take it easy. I will talk to you later. I'm probably going to do a live feed tomorrow. My friend Pip shows up tonight. I'm going to find out from him if he wants to be in a video. He wasn't in a video last year when he came. He's kind of secretive. He is. He's kind of an interesting cat, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get him to wear a mask. He'll just be in a video. So, all right. You guys take it easy. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you next time.